Welcome, listeners and fellow Earthlings, to our podcast, DFAO, or Dear Future Alien Overlords. I'm your host, a Weembawop, and this is my co-host, also a Weembawop. Together we are a Weembawop, a Weembawop, a Weembawop, a Weembawop. Okay, we're gonna stop. Okay, that's where we'll stop. Alright, well, thank you for listening. If you've listened to episode 1, this is our second take, episode 2.
We finally got around to doing it. It took a little bit of time, so there was
some time.
I don't want to date this podcast too much, but there was probably a 4-month break there.
Yeah, I kind of forgot how to do this, so we're back into the groove of things.
But we are older and wiser now.
But now that we had that time, I actually spent most of that time on a mountaintop contemplating life and really what I wanted to bring to this podcast. Brigham sat on a couch for 4 months and ate some potato chips. And
wow. Really coming out there. I mean, there was some pretty eventful things that happened in those 4 months for me.
Wait, did you get married in that 4 month period?
In that 4 months, I got married.
Oh my gosh.
I traveled to California, where I went to Disneyland and built a lightsaber and trained with Master Yoda.
Dude.
And then I went back home and worked for a week, and then I went and flew to Kauai, had a lot of fun there, and then I flew back and lived normal marriage life, like in the movie Up. There was that music playing the whole time. But,
so how's Mrs. Owimbawap? Is she doing?
She's doing great.
Is it like, no, for being real, like how is marriage life? Like how's that going for you?
It's really nice. For a while there, I just kind of couldn't get over the feeling that we were just hanging out for a really long time. Mm-hmm. But then this was just like a comfortableness kind of came over, and I was like, all right, this is just
right. Yeah,
this is like an extension of my person now. Is this also other person, and we are together a Weembawop, a Weembawop. So,
well, yeah, you got to be careful what you say. She's probably listening in the other room. So
maybe, yeah. But yeah, she's doing great, and in that time as well, she's been working on the house a lot. I've been trying to help, but I've been working a lot as well. But yeah, she's made a quail coop, and we got quails now.
Oh yeah.
You know about this, but our listeners don't know about this.
Yes, tell them about your quails.
We got quails, and they are adorable, and they grow really fast. We've probably had them for about coming up to a month and a half, maybe. I can't remember.
How long do they lay? They lay eggs, right? And then
they lay eggs like super fast. Like normally, like a chicken takes like a couple months at least to get to like chicken laying egg like stage of their life. But quails like take like 2 months or something. It's crazy.
But they're teeny tiny little eggs.
They're 1/3 the equivalent size of a chicken egg.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
imagine making eggs in the morning. You're gonna have to like for a burrito, like a breakfast burrito. You're gonna have to like murder like 10 of those little quail eggs. You know what I mean?
That is a strange way of saying crack open an egg.
Crack open
you just gotta.
You're gonna have to obliterate at least 10 eggs. Yeah.
Obliterate that egg.
But no, I wonder how they'll taste. I wonder if they'll be more meaty or if they're going to be...
They're supposed to be more flavorful.
Oh.
So that's something.
Probably better for you too, honestly.
Maybe. I honestly just kind of... I'm just going to laugh every time I crack a quail
It's just going to be
egg.
like this man. You're going to look like... You're going to feel like a huge man with giant hands as you like crack open this tiny little egg.
It's just going to feed into my need to feel like I'm the biggest...
I feel like you should also have like tiny bacon and tiny pancakes and stuff.
Yeah, I'm actually getting some teacup pigs as well, so I can get some tiny bacon.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's how that works. Yep. And a tiny cow for some tiny milk. You know.
Yeah, because you can't just pour a smaller quantity of milk.
You need a small cow.
You need a smaller cow. Yeah, that works.
Well, that'll be cool. You'll have a whole farm, and you've grown a lot. Like you have a whole garden and stuff.
Yeah, we got a garden. We're growing zucchini, tomato, jalapeno peppers, and some strawberries.
Dang.
So yeah, we're just kind of going local off the grid, and it made me realize how much effort it takes to harvest food. Really, like growing things, it takes forever for stuff to grow, but once it starts growing, it's pretty cool, you know?
Yeah, and I bet it's like, wow, I grew this, and you have like a personal attachment to it.
It tastes.
And it's like
It might be a placebo, but it tastes so much better than like the stuff you get at the store.
You know, because it's like you think about it, like they're shipping from all across the world, so
Yeah, it's just so much more fresh, I guess.
yeah, it's like right there.
Yeah,
you can't get fresher than that. So.
Yeah, exactly, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of cool. It's like I grew this in my backyard.
I'm so jealous of you, man. Like I hate living in a tiny little condo, where I can't grow anything and all I have is a hamster. You know.
Do you milk your hamster?
You know what? I haven't tried, but I feel like Tulip wouldn't appreciate that. So
Probably not.
No.
Yeah, but you have a really cool little home for your hamster Tulip. I went over there and there was just a bunch of tubes all over the place.
Yeah, I did the tube thing, but then I also made like a cardboard maze, like a really intricate cardboard maze for her, because I don't know, I was bored and I was like, I want to build this hamster a maze. And so I spent like probably a solid month on this maze. It's got like it's got a wheel thing that she runs through, a little bridge, like a slide, all this stuff.
Wow.
And literally she like gets so bored with it now because I'll put her in it and I'll put like food at the end of it. And she can run through that maze within like 30 seconds. It's like just natural. Like the first time it took her a really long time, but literally it like she learned it so fast, which is just incredible to be like.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then I can go with months without putting her in it and then put her back in it and she already knows how to do it again. It's crazy. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Huh.
But now I have this maze that I don't know what to do with, and it's like, I don't know. My wife doesn't appreciate it. It's like takes up a lot of space.
Yeah, that's kind of how projects work sometimes. It's easy to get junk everywhere.
Oh, definitely.
But that's cool with the maze. I wonder, like a lot of like I feel like an untapped world of ours is like through like our sense of smell. Yeah. Like for like those little creatures, like for dogs, for like most other creatures, like smell is like a huge thing. And they could pick up on it. Like, you know, I'm sure like she remembers the smell, or not like remembers the smell of a certain area, but she can like smell like that she's been there, you know?
Yeah. So when we're like, I actually was talking to like the pet store person, and they were saying like, oh, when you clean out her cage, don't clean it out super well, like don't disinfect it crazy, because you actually want there to be that smell, because that smell is like home to them, so they'll actually kind of feel like out of place if they don't have that smell. So,
interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It is true, like humans really don't rely too much on their sense of smell, but it is interesting. I feel like it's more important for women than it is for men over a large kind of broad scale things, like my wife will notice like when I've changed smells or whatever, and or she'll like wear a sweater because you know it smells like me or something, and I'm like, I don't know what you smell like. I have no idea what.
See, that's interesting because I do know what Lizzie smells, or sorry, Mrs. Awimblewup smells like.
Really?
Yeah, I like it's not really like something I notice though. So like I'll be like, you know, folding laundry and I'm like, this smells like Liz. And it's like something I don't really know that I remember that smell. Like if you asked me to describe what that smelled like, I couldn't describe it. But like, it's something I pick up on.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. Good for you, man. I definitely don't notice, and I kind of feel bad because she'll ask me
Are you
questions.
a mouth breather? Are you just breathing through your mouth all the time? You
No,
just completely ignore your nose?
I just never really had a good sense of smell. Like I don't feel like ever, like people will smell things like, oh, should you smell it? I'm like, no. Are you guys smelling stuff? So,
it's a blessing and a curse, right?
It kind of is sometimes. They're like, do you smell that skunk? And I'm like, oh, no, I don't.
You can't smell a skunk. That might be
really bad.
That'd be really bad.
No, I can smell a skunk if
That's
it's right
pretty
there. But like if someone farted or something, I usually don't smell it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's also dangerous too, because I remember living. It's kind of like crazy. Like after I left my house for like a week, going on like my honeymoon and stuff like that, coming back in, I'm like, oh yeah, this place definitely has an odor. And that's when we had like the dogs in the place still and everything like that.
Oh yeah,
It definitely had an odor, and you noticed it. And I'm like, oh, it just makes this place so trashy. And so that's when we like really got the dogs outside, and it was just so much better because dogs just smell so much, and they
for me it wasn't like smell, it was like I could feel it when I came into the place. I'm like, this place had dogs. Like you could just kind of feel like, I'm just covered
it's
in
like
dog
the
hair.
air is like more
Yeah, like something that air's mucky,
polluted.
kind of.
Yeah,
or something,
mucky,
yeah.
musky.
It's just you could tell you're not in a clean environment.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah. It's definitely a lot better now.
Yeah, I think if I eventually get dogs, I'm gonna have them be outside. Like,
right. It's kind of funny.
Or maybe give them a glorified dog shed and then be like, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's like, or just get a hairless dog. Just be one of those people.
Nope.
No.
That's creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. No. It's definitely like as a kid, you're like, why can't I bring the dog inside? And when you grow up, you're like, oh, gosh, get that dog out of here. So
yeah. Well, it's been good catching up. We should probably get into what we want to talk about.
Absolutely. As you're the host, what is our topic today?
Yeah, so as we're going throughout these episodes, we kind of want to try to have a more, like, structured... We want to, like, the first part of the episode to be more kind of free flow, and then get into a more structured discussion. And so I'm the host this week, so we're going to... I've come up with some questions, and then we're going to kind of talk about them. A lot of them are very philosophical and thought-provoking. So this week's topic is if you could decide what your ideal government looked like, what would you do? Like, how would you design your ideal government? So that's what we're going to discuss. Man,
we're going into government again? I thought you told me to stay away from that.
Yeah, we are going straight into politics, I guess. But... I think it'll be interesting, kind of like to just unpack like what we think, how like obviously everyone will complain about the government and be like, oh, I could do such a better job, but you don't realize how hard it is to actually come up with some better system. So
it's a crazy kind of thing. Like once you like get to like a population density that United States and most of the world has, it's like trying to like govern that many people. And to make things fair for, like, that many people just becomes, like, wild.
True. Like, yeah, it's definitely easier to, like, implement something on a small scale with, like, a group of, like, 6 people. Yeah. Or, like, a family scale. It's easy, like, okay, this is how it works and everything.
Yeah.
But obviously, once you get into the, couple thousands, it's, like, pretty difficult to...
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because, like, we kind of have, like, little government systems within, like, our social groups. So, like, for instance, if you were, like... hey, should we go get pizza or like should we go get food with like a friend group, like where we're gonna get food, there's might be like a person that's like, I'm the leader of this friend group and we're gonna go here, or it's gonna be like, what are we doing, guys? It's a democracy. Normally it takes like so much longer to figure out where to go.
I hate that. Yeah, I'd rather live in a dictatorship friend group.
Gosh. Braden a Weembawap just wants to be completely just ruled.
No, it's just things get done in a dictatorship friend group because like there's that one guy that decides what we're doing and everyone else is just very passive and just goes along with it.
Yeah.
And that might cause fights, but like I've been in the situation where everyone is like very whatever you guys want to do,
Yeah.
And then we can't figure out anything and it takes us like 20 minutes to decide like where do we want to go to eat,
Yeah, and that's kind of like a good representation of, not like completely accurate, but like kind of how like democracy in real life works. Like, yeah, we get more of like, okay, what does everyone want to do? But it like takes a whole lot longer to react to situations.
Right, yeah.
And Definitely. That's why we have representatives, which makes things a little bit faster. But
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, like nice segue into this. Mm-hmm. So the first question I kind of want to go, like under this topic is, how would you, in your ideal government scenario, decide how leaders are elected? Or are they not even elected,
So, should I just describe what my ideal government would be real quick?
Sure, if you totally want to, yeah.
Okay, so after putting some thought into this, I decided that depending on what the situation was, if it was like a small group of people like we were saying, I'd probably like set up some kind of like democracy setup,
Uh-huh.
Nothing too far from what we have already. But probably like a lot less like, all right, like more like kind of like the food goes around a bit more.
Everyone plays their part.
A little bit more like communism.
Like that's kind of communism.
But like, if it's like a small island.
Working. But you can make people stay in check when it's a small group like that.
Exactly, because if someone's not working, then that's just a conversation and, probably a threat. But
rather than like legislation that needs to be written.
Right, rather than sending out police to be like, all right.
Yeah.
So I decided if it's like a large scale though, that I would become an absolute dictator.
You would start a dictatorship?
Here's the thing. I decided after thinking about this for a while that the only way I can make a good system that would kind of stop humanity from destroying itself was for me to be a dictator. And basically, I would...
Wow, you have a lot of trust in yourself.
No. So here's the thing. I don't trust myself. And I don't want the whole job of democracy like that. Just sounds like a terrible job to be like the ruler of everything. But I decided that I would become a dictator, and I would get all the smartest people in my country, and I would put them in a room, and I'd put them to work on the project to make the most advanced and intelligent artificial intelligence.
And then you'd have that be the government?
I'd make that the government.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like frickin' something out of like a movie.
It would be extremely well tested, and it would have automation, and it would have certain goals, and there would be multiple artificial or AIs in like a council like setting, and they would keep checks on each other to make sure that if one was acting faulty, that would be like replaced or whatever.
Here's the flaw I'm seeing in this.
What's
argument,
the flaw?
Is that you are basically saying I don't trust humans to govern themselves, right?
I don't.
And how well do you think that's gonna go when like humans have to obey laws and legislations that this like AI puts out? Well, and when they're like, you're not even human, you don't understand what it's like. They won't respect it.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. So, while I'm trying... Sorry, that's my phone. My bad. So, while I'm this big dictator that everyone hates, I'm going to I'm obviously going to piss off a lot of people. I'm going to be like hoarding all the resources to like making this artificial intelligence and making this thing. I'm going to implant a successor that's going to be the person that's going to like overtake me and then set up a new government. But really, it's just going to be a show, and the artificial intelligence is going to be the one making all the decisions.
Okay, so
this is just going to be a front, and everyone's going to like, oh, we got rid of that awful dictator Brigham, and he's dead, or I faked my death, and I retired after I did this. But yeah, then this artificial intelligence is going to be making like really like the best decisions for humanity, because humanity is terrible at looking in the long term. You know, it's we're kind of short term, I guess, sometimes, and so
I think that's generalized, but yeah. I think you're kind of on point.
If you had like a artificial
we don't think about the next generation.
Yeah, computers are great as far as like, all right, this is gonna be the overall goal, and it can like if I just have like a lot of data going into this thing, like if freaking with all the data that we already have on everyone with their smartphones and everything like that. If we like set like a singular AI to like focus on every person and see their needs and see what's going on in like their lives, that's super intrusive, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But it's also like an entity. It's also an entity that's kind of like omnipotent, I guess, in a way. So, and they're not even gonna know about it. But then like those AIs can report to like the overall AI making decisions. And it has all this data, and it can make the best decisions, and it could know where to allocate resources to make a better tomorrow. You
know what? I hate that I'm kind of like seeing what you're seeing and kind of agreeing with it.
What's so bad about it?
Here's the thing. I think yours ethically is very wrong.
Yeah.
And I think the only way it can work is, like you said, having like a scapegoat human to kind of pin your stuff on.
Yeah.
And you can't let them know that AI is actually running everything in the background.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I like the idea of it being personalized, like having your Alexa that's sitting on your, your kitchen table without you knowing, gathering data, listening to your conversations and your worries about the world, and then taking that to the government. Like, we don't have that now. We can't really,
as far as we know,
express as far as we know. Hopefully, that's not how the government works. But as far as we know, that's not how this government works. Mm-hmm. So it's like. We have to, the way we get our input to our leaders is through electing representatives who hopefully advocate for our opinions, But from what your sounds like is it's more of a direct route to authority, you know?
Yeah.
Which I kind of like, but also ethically it just feels wrong, you know, for some
Ethically,
reason.
it's definitely like that whole like Big Brother kind of thing going on. Where like you are always being watched kind of thing. But like, dude, I just want to like freaking I don't want humanity to die here.
But you also have to like really trust that AI too. Like,
well, that's
you've seen all the sci-fi movies
that's
where
the thing.
AI
Like,
goes wrong.
there's like so obviously there's a lot of problems with it as far as like AI goes, but like it really depends on like how you make it and why you make it. Like, you know, what's important to it. You know.
Uh-huh.
And it always goes wrong where it always ends up murdering a million people in sci-fi, but that's just like good storytelling. But like, it's kind of hard to like see what reality would actually be because AI is going to be like there was a saying, I'm not sure who said it, but it was basically like AI is going to be more alien to us than actual aliens.
Interesting.
Because aliens are going to have more in common with us as far as like being organic and going through the same struggles and having certain like set desires for this and that. It's gonna be possibly like it's hard to say because we don't have any other aliens to compare it to, but like the idea of aliens on a general basis would be more relatable than this artificial intelligence that was built.
That's what they say, huh?
Yeah, that's what they say, and it all depends.
Maybe we should change the name of this podcast to Dear Future AI Overlords. Or something like that.
No, I just hired the artist.
You're like, no, man, we can't go back.
You know, I can't have to change the word now on the title screen. And like, nah, it's too much work.
It's just one more letter in the acronym. You're fine. Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know. I could see there being issues in, let's say, like political, like education, like edgy opinions. You're gonna have those extreme opinions. Are they allowed to have those opinions? You know. Like, or is the AI going to see that as a threat to the society and then try to eliminate that kind of stuff or silence those people? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so,
it's interesting to think of that.
Yeah, so I guess, like, it all depends. Like, this is obviously, like, a very radical system, you know? And this is kind of, like, my pretend fantasy world, and I'm not actually thinking, like, if I was in charge, what would I actually do? But, like, this is a cool idea.
No, I like this idea. And I'm honestly kind of wanting to just focus the rest of this podcast on your idea because mine is very.
We could do that if you like.
All right, cool. You cool with that?
You're the host, man. I'm just a peasant over here, man.
I think we should go down the rabbit hole of what if AI was in charge of our government. Sure. How would that go down?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So basically, like, so robots are extremely good at chess, right? Because chess involves thinking moves ahead. And pretty much a computer can calculate almost infinitely far ahead at this point, right?
Yeah. It'll anticipate the next 5 moves or whatever.
Yeah. So take the chessboard and make that America, you know, and its goal is to make a whatever like a carbon neutral country that's more self-sufficient and has these list of things.
Yeah.
And if it sees, well, if I I'm not saying I don't want.
If I impose extremely high taxes on gas companies or whatever.
Yeah, like what's gonna make?
How is that helping America? You know.
Yeah, like what's gonna make the ideal world more or less? And I'm sure that if it had enough data, it could basically like kind of see the route to take to that. Right, way better than our mere mortal brains could. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like if you're talking about like a radical person that's like, all right, like groups of people, like, and you're like saying like, would it just like be like kill them? Like I think it would be more about manipulating things in a way where those people don't exist. And you're not gonna have happy people, but like you can manipulate events and can change certain things. And you're probably honestly just gonna have to like take in some people, lock them up, or it's gonna be like that same problem. Like people are radical, and they make decisions that could hurt society.
Yeah, no.
You're gonna have to make that hard decision, and it probably wouldn't be. It would see it as a
AI would do a better job than people in handling those kind of people? Or would you think because it's like an AI and it doesn't understand what it's like to be human yet, that?
Yeah, that's the hard thing. Like, what is wrong and what is right. You know, like there's been plenty of examples of people that broke the law, but also, you know, are considered good in the public's eye, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
Like maybe education or something more. Like oh, these people that are super radical and believe in this stuff, maybe they just need to have more education and it would change their education or something, or like where they're getting their resources. But then again, there's also problems with that too. So it's interesting though.
it is. It has a lot of benefits in my opinion. And I think like it would just be a very streamlined process.
Yeah.
Because like the reason like most like there was like I wish I can remember things better. Because I remember like this like percentage of government employees were just set to record records. Like their whole job was like recording records, and it was like a good amount. It was like a good percentage. It was like 25% of the government employees are just recording things. Like 25% are just running papers to people.
Yeah.
You know, or like emailing people. Like imagine like a system that could do what thousands of employees can do in like a second. You know.
Right. Yeah.
And there's like just instant communication between all these systems, instant updates, instant things, and
Well, I also think the government would like decisions would be made
Exactly.
so quick. Like that's the thing in America is it takes us forever to come up with what our position is on a policy, and maybe that's good because
good.
we take our time in figuring it out.
yeah, because we don't.
But like an AI could do that at a faster rate, you know, for sure.
Exactly, and that's also like a problem if it like maybe it's a bit more gun ho and it like sees Russia taking steps, you know, in Ukraine, and it's like, all right, well, it's breaking this law here, so obviously our next step is to attack Russia.
Right, but that would lead to other. But maybe you would anticipate, oh, that would lead to this and that would lead to this because my number one responsibility is protect the war, like my country.
Exactly.
You know,
like my number one responsibility is making a perfect quote unquote future for my people. And so it's to be like, and nuclear warfare is not a perfect world. So what are my other options to go around this? What are my political options? You know, like maneuvering this here, moving that there, and that's the thing. Like it's crazy. Like a lot of small actions can have like huge effects. You know, and so if you're like able to like maneuver a lot of a number of small enough things, can make some really big things happen. And the scary thing is like people don't notice that.
Yeah, no, I totally think you're right. I think, and kind of segueing into the next question about government, going along with this AI run government,
right?
I think it'd be interesting. Like, how do you think something like war would take place with an AI government? And let's say like multiple AIs of different governments. Like, let's say there's an AI running China, there's an AI running America, running, like that would be really interesting.
That would be because, I don't even know if we can quite comprehend what the mindset of a being that has that much processing power would be, but it'd pretty much be like, all right, the obvious move would be to that, but they would see that, so I'm gonna do that, but then they would also see that, so I'd be doing that. So it'd be like
going back and forth, chest and chest.
Yeah, did you ever watch that like Sherlock movie with Robert Downey Jr. Where he was like, all right, this and this and this, and he was like just seeing it all play out, and then in the end, when he was facing that guy, he realized that he lost every way, right? And so maybe there wouldn't even be like any fighting. It would just be like, I looked at the outcome, you lose, I surrender.
Whoa, that would be crazy. Like they don't even get to the point of actually fighting.
No,
but then like people wouldn't agree with that.
No, they wouldn't. Yeah. They wouldn't. But like that's the crazy thing is, I feel like I'd welcome a society that's run by an AI because I just would be like, okay, that's like a really smart system, and if it has these, like, it'd be a lot of trusting. Because like who made the AI? Was it like Tesla? Was it Apple? I wouldn't trust that like company that made it.
Right.
It would have to be like it had to come from somewhere where I wouldn't be like, all right, they're not just trying to manipulate the government to give them more money or yada yada power, and it would be a complete trust system. Which is really hard to imagine a system that would be like that, right?
Well, I liked your system of ideas, like, where it was, like, everyone had their own, kind of, like, was, without their knowing, being spied on by the government. And AI was collecting data of the whole government Do you think that, like, let's say the AI's goal is to serve the needs of the people, you know, to the best of its ability.
Right.
To create the most prosperous thing for its people. Do you think that the people would shape the AI? In a way, like, influence the AI.
Yeah, like, so the overall opinion of the people
would influence the AI.
So it'd be majority rule.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's what would be the AI's concerns.
Right.
So if the majority of us were like, we need to go to war, or we need to be at peace, that'd be its actions, potentially.
Right. Yeah, like if, let's say just, you know, like majority of people in country A want to go to war, and majority in country B, you know, do you think it would take steps to go to war, you know, even though logically it doesn't make sense, you know?
Yeah, I think it would be honestly really, like, if you put yourself in the place of the AI and you're like, all right, this is the this is the way we should go, guys, but I also have to take into account these people's stupid opinion, these stupid
but like this is what
freaking humans,
this is what the people want, kind of.
Yeah,
like, it would have to give and take. It would be an incredibly hard job for that AI, and I would not envy that AI in any sense, you know.
Yeah.
But, that would be interesting. And then how would war even look like? You know, would it be with people? Or, like, would they draft? Like, would the AI, like, draft based on, like, physical abilities? Like, it knows that John in this house has been working out every single day? Or whatever, or is like really good with
John's
guns.
Been recently listening to workout playlists, so
therefore we should recruit John to a war. Let's draft John or something, you know, or like, oh man, you know, but it would know that like, oh, this person's kind of sick or whatever, or, you know, it like could find the like you were saying, optimizing its chances to win.
Right.
For war. Let's say it didn't have access to drones or anything like that, or like machines to do war for it. Like it had just people to operate. Do you think it would kind of like select people? That would be interesting.
The selection process would be really interesting because if like the system that we're talking about has pretty much like a perfect understanding of all of its citizens.
Yeah. Based
off of the data at hand.
Besides,
you know, people hiding out in the woods that don't have access to technology.
Yeah.
Or, you know, whatever. So yeah, it would be like a matter of, well, this person has a family here, and this person is, you know, not, you know, he doesn't have a family, and he doesn't really
like would this hurt society more if I took this father away from this family?
See, like the decision making, there's like so many like little decisions to make. And I couldn't comprehend making all these decisions.
Yeah.
But, like, it being that, like, could do that, like, all it has to do is, like, be like, all right, what are my morals? What is this? Like, what's good, what's bad? And just makes that decision, like, really, really fast.
Yeah.
So that's, like, I think, like, the biggest thing in that system would be to, like, give it morals that we would agree with generally. You know.
Yeah.
But there's also going to be like times for hard decisions. So it's so complex, but I think artificial intelligence is a system that can really handle that. And honestly, what you might need to do is you might need to make an AI, and its job is to understand what morality is, and then instruct that other AI what that is.
And then teach the governing AI?
Making an AI to make an AI.
Oh, yeah. Make the perfect AI. Whoa, make an AI that makes the perfect AI.
I mean, that literally, like, if you had a computer and it pretty much is like just like, I will grant your wish, make a perfect version of an AI, and then it's like, oh, it's perfect. It's just, it gets so complex, man.
Yeah, it would, like, because it'd be like, what is morality? I'm going to answer this question that philosophers have been, like, discussing for, like, 2,000, 4,000 years, you know, and try to figure out everything about it, you know. But then also be able to make a stern thing that can make decisions, you know, it's that's gotta be, it's a tall order to ask, for sure.
Exactly, that's why you would ask someone that could, like, look at all of our teachings. Like, imagine just reading philosophy books and what's right, what's wrong, and looking at bazillion case files of what happened here and what decisions did humans make here, and it's like, right, according to humans, this is what morality is. Like, something that can give an absolute answer like that, like, that's just cool. I'm gonna open up a soda, hang on.
Oh yeah, listen to that ASMRs. Sponsored by Mountain Dew.
Drink Mountain Dew.
Drink Mountain Dew.
Mango Gem.
Now we're gonna have a 5-minute commercial break for our sponsor.
5 minutes?
Dude, we need money. They said for 5 minutes they'd give us $50.
Jeez, imagine just listening to a 5-minute Mountain Dew commercial, like.
Or like it's like, okay, you could either do that 5-minute break, or we could spread it out throughout the entire podcast, where you just have to randomly bring up Mountain Dew. Like,
let's just get it knocked out all at once. We just start reading the nutritional facts of Mountain Dew.
Eventually, our advertising gets so lazy where it's like.
It contains.
We just start dissing every other soda or something.
Okay. Total sugars 44 grams. Jeez. I wish I didn't read that now.
Too late. I really like these sodas you got. These Liquid Death.
Oh yeah.
We're also not sponsored by Liquid Death. But.
Well, not yet. You never know. I'll reach out to them. I doubt they'll respond. But yeah. Anyway, for you audio listeners, which is all of you, because we don't have a video. I'm not sure why I said that. I'm drinking some Liquid Death, which is pretty much just drinking water in a cool can. And it's kind of funny because it's like it's water, but it's also nice because I like just keep some in my fridge, and I've seriously found that I drink more water because my body is tricked to thinking we're drinking something cool, but it's just water.
It's just water in a can.
Yeah, and they're also a cool company. I did some looking up on them, and they're kind of like their main goal is to get rid of plastic bottles, because that's really detrimental to our
oceans and whatever
oceans and whatnot. So because you could do so much more as far as recycling goes with like a aluminum can versus plastic bottle. And if it's like. And it's just not very pollutant to start off with.
Yeah, plus it looks exactly like a beer.
It looks like a beer.
So you feel really cool drinking it.
Yeah, I like drinking my beer. It's just water.
Alright, well we got a little on a sidetrack. Nice little break though.
Yeah.
So, as far as an AI government is concerned, I think getting there would be the most difficult thing. And I think the only road to getting to an AI government would have to be like a dictatorship.
Exactly, and that's what I was thinking, because there's no way people are going to freely hand over that power to a computer.
Yeah, I mean, think about self-driving cars. There's already so much fight to stopping those, having a computer drive.
And those worries are completely warranted, because it's your life.
Right. Yeah.
It's basically your life, and you're putting it in the hand of programming, and you don't know who programmed it. There's no connection, there's no trust into that
person. Yeah,
that's why I was thinking it just has to be some dictator.
Have to be a dictator
that is just gonna push this bill and then get seceded by some person that we could be like, all right, here's your hero from the revolution. And
I also feel like how the revolution and how the power came to be would greatly affect how the AI was too. Mm-hmm. If we're talking because it's this was bad, this whatever event got to the AI being in charge would be we don't want that to happen again. I feel would be a logical thing for the AI to think.
If we're talking about AI as an opponent for revolutionists, gosh, we'd be screwed. It would probably see everything.
Right, yeah. But maybe it would allow certain revolutions.
Maybe exactly it would understand okay, public interest is this, and it likes the idea of freedom, so we're gonna be here's your freedom, this and this and this, and make a big deal here and allow them to have this.
Make them feel like they have their power, but really
some high levels of manipulation of society, which is kind of it's kind of crazy, because just thinking about it, oh yeah, you can manipulate society like this, and they're kind of pretty easily obtained tools, in my opinion. All you have to do is, it's really just about what the people take in and see, which is through media.
Yeah, what are they consuming? What are they seeing every day? Mm-hmm. And how is their personal life going? People aren't willing to change if their lives are good.
Yeah, exactly. And people are extremely reactive. So if you just that's why you got people that are conspiracy and 9/11 was a pre-planned thing to get this pushed and this pushed, because it rose the country. We revel around incidents of extreme.
Do you think an
tragedy.
AI would do that? Do you think an AI, let's say it needed to start a war, in its own opinion, to like it needed to start a war with this other country, do you think it would do something like that?
Well, yeah,
like,
if it
cause
decided
a terrible tragedy to band people together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If it like decided like, you know what? I could do a lot more and I could do a lot better with Canada's resources. We need to take over Canada, or something like, or Mexico or whatever.
Whatever country, yeah.
And so you got like this like, like big thing that it like manufactures, incident wise, and
to rally up the people.
It really all depends on like how much free reign you give the AI. Like, I feel like if I was programming it personally, I'd be like, okay, because it's also hard because like the whole like loss of life now for like greater happiness in the future is like a thing that you can't look at, but you also can't morally justify it.
Yeah.
It's
like unfortunate that terrible tragedies usually lead to prosperity.
Exactly.
And it's like maybe an AI would recognize that and then use that to its advantage.
Right.
Which is kind of terrifying to think about,
Mm-hmm.
But like, whoa, it's got the balls to go there.
Yeah. I mean, like, and maybe the fact that we don't want to go there is the limitation of our humanity.
Yeah.
And maybe if we gave that over to an entity that was able to make those decisions, we would all be better off in the end. And if the ends justify the means,
I mean, I think it would be hard because it would need to consider the individual, I feel like, morally. Need to consider the individual and then also consider the greater good, like all of humanity.
Well, let's look at the corruption side of a society like this. So I think we kind of like naturally assume that if this was like how the system would work and people knew about this, like the AI couldn't get corrupted unless it was like some hacker doing things. But I think like an AI can actually be like bribed in ways.
So you're not saying like necessarily like actually hack the mainframe or like the coding or whatever of the AI, but actually hacking like tricking, like manipulating the AI.
Exactly. Yeah. So like if it has like a set of like a code's like, all right, save as many human lives as possible. If you like threaten to blow up a plane or pretty much end a lot of human lives,
mm-hmm.
and if you like communicate with the AI like, hey, I have this bomb here or something like that, and it's going to do this unless if you do that, right? So it's not like bribery in the sense of money or tangible wealth. It's in its morality.
Like, oh, if you give me this response, then I'll do this,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think it's definitely difficult because like we were talking about, I feel like the AI would be able to see 5 steps ahead.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully. I mean, if it's that advanced, then it'd be like, joke's on you, there's no train.
There's no train. I just shut it off or something like that.
Or like, I predicted that you'd do that like 2 years ago, and so your mother's on the line.
Your mother's on the line.
For a little bit.
That's how it tries to like suppress the situation. Is like, I'm calling mom. Oh, dang it. It just routes you to a mom or something.
You can't even get a hold of it.
Talk to you in forever. That would be so good. And then the mom talks him out of doing something horrible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But, like,
what if we just had our moms be in charge of the government? Oh, man. That would be really bad.
Okay, well, real quick.
I like this idea of corrupting it, though.
Yeah, and there's also, like, different ways of making artificial intelligence, at least that we've thought of so far. Like, there's the idea of building AI just from the groundwork completely up, and then there's the idea of kind of like copying a human brain and like making an artificial anomaly of consciousness through that.
I feel like it wouldn't be perfect. I feel like it'd have its flaws like a human brain,
mm-hmm.
and I feel like it would be able to have patterns that it exhibit, and I think those patterns would start to get predictable.
Mm-hmm.
And so manipulation might be easier.
Mm-hmm.
Like if because people can identify patterns really well.
Yeah.
If they start seeing like, whenever this happens every so many years, this response kicks in from
mm-hmm.
the government. They take a tax break or something, or whatever, like any issue, like, and then people could anticipate that. Like let's say like for economic decisions and stuff. Let's say the stock market's still a thing in this government, you know?
Yeah.
Like, people can anticipate the stock market maybe based on patterns that the AI exhibits.
Oh,
you know, like,
so,
I'm going to short this stock because I know it's going to drop tomorrow because an AI is going to make a policy to do this, and that's going to affect people's decisions on stocks, you know.
I feel like that's something that kind of already happens with our society.
You're probably right, yeah.
You know, like, people are like, all right, this just went down. There's probably going to be a policy to correct it, and it's going to affect this and this and this, so I'm going to invest here and here and here. That's
right.
just knowing the market.
No, and I'm saying that was just the stock market, but, like, as an example, I'm saying, like, it could be something bigger than the stock market, you know, like a war or something, or crazy like that, you know, like an enemy could use it to its advantage.
Okay,
you know?
so, like, kind of getting, like, a predicted response based off of the knowledge of the AI's previous actions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, finding patterns in the AI's coding or, like, in the AI's behavior, you know, could lead to more predictable behavior and, like...
Yeah, that could definitely be, like, weaponized in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I think, like, it's really, like, the thing is, man, like...
But that happens with people, too. You can
predict
people's
behavior. It
behavior.
happens with people, but, like, also, I really don't think we can quite understand how an artificial intelligence would think until we actually achieve artificial intelligence.
I think you're right. And I think this has been a really fun, like, hypothetical, you know? But yeah, the truth is we have really no idea how AI would handle that kind of situation. You know, we still probably got, what, like, Elon Musk is saying 2050 or something.
Yeah.
When the first AI... But what I've heard is like, once AI is invented... the jump from, like, making AI to making, like, a super hit AI, like the most advanced AI, is, like, that time period is way shorter. So it's like, once we crack the code there, like, we're opening a can of worms. We'll see.
It's really, it's supposedly going to be, like, the next, like, huge thing.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many, it's just a diverse tool. It's like the best Swiss Army knife ever. Because it could just take care of so many things. And it's also kind of scary because, like, it could take so many jobs. It could affect the country in so many different ways. It could take, like all the receptionist jobs pretty much are, like, gone because it's just, like, artificial intelligence. Hello, how are you doing? You know? And
basically.
Talking to a being that doesn't need to sleep, has, like, perfect manners, can't get offended, can't be bribed, or whatever. That's a perfect receptionist.
Knows the best, like, it'd be... I think they're already using that in some situations. Like, Google has, like, already released something like that.
It was, it was, like, kind of a demonstration thing.
Or a demonstration of what is to come.
Setting up a hair appointment, I believe.
Yeah,
haircut appointment, yeah.
Yeah.
But, it's going to be interesting on how it's going to affect our society, our workplace, and... I'm honestly really excited for the development in technology as far as like artificial intelligence, like designing code.
Yeah.
You know, like, all right, like coding is gonna be just like, hey, I need this to do this, and it's like, I got you, dude.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be.
There's a subroutine right there.
I think it's got the potential to do so much good, you know, and then the potential to do harm.
Yeah.
But I kind of am remaining on the side of an optimist and hoping that we as people can make something good, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that's just looking forward in the future is just kind of having optimism for what lies ahead, you know?
Yeah. I think we're going to have, like, a pretty notion on how AI is going to be because a lot of this sci-fi and just general movies, like, when they have artificial intelligence, it, like, always goes bad or it's always, like, terrible. Yeah. But, like, you know, like, what if it's just good?
What if it's the best thing ever?
It's the best thing ever, and it just helps us out and, like, makes things a bazillion times easier. Like, heck, like, I'm excited just to, like, just it's just exciting, man. I'm just so excited.
I guess we'll find out in, like, 2050 or, you know, something like that, if we're still around.
See.
Yeah.
If we're still around?
We're still around.
How old are you to be in 2050?
Undisclosed information.
Oh, okay, right, yeah. Same here.
But, like, slightly older than you. That's my point.
Yeah. They're listening to this.
Slightly better looking, too. No, I'm just joking.
Oh.
I'm just joking.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Wimbo. I did you dirty.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm okay. For you audio listeners, I'm crying.
All right, I think we should wrap things up. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Cool. All right, thanks, listeners, for listening to episode 2 of DFAO, and thank you to future alien overlords for listening as always.
Oh, hail Gorblog.
Hail Gorblog. I think that's what we do.
We gotta remember to do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or else,
or this podcast. What are we even doing?
Yeah.
This is what this is here for.
Yeah, I gotta send those files over to the mothership. Anyway.
All right. Well, we hope to see you next time on episode 3. Hopefully, it's just as chaotic. So,
Absolutely. Thank you for listening.